Yeah.
Video.
My bad, my bad.
No worries.
Thank you so much for, thank you so much for the session, by the way. So,
Yeah, my
for
pleasure.
taking the time to share your expertise to the community. Awesome. So, what made you choose this topic, Junaid?
Um, honestly, because I'm getting more hands-on opportunities to work on ODC, and the first thing that comes to developing any applications is the building or the designing of the application. So yeah, so this is one topic where I'm diving a lot and trying to explore things. So I thought I would share my learnings and experiences with others as well.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. So, I believe you are with OutSystems since OutSystems was in its version 10. Is that right?
Yeah,
Or even before?
yeah. So um, I mean, was more active around 2018, but I
Hmm.
had started exploring out systems in the year of 2015, I believe.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
out systems 10 was there.
Okay, okay, okay. So actually, I started from OutSystems 11 when Reactive was launched. That is when I had started with OutSystems.
Yeah, when we had almost everything is stable.
Correct, correct, exactly. Yeah, nice. So even in the community or in LinkedIn, I often get messages from people on ODC and on not only just architecture but around ODC and also majorly on the free environment team. Earlier, I used to get a lot of queries on certification vouchers. Now the trend is more towards ODC. I mean, it used to be, and later it used to be on the environment, and now that everyone can get their environment trial environment, even for ODC, as per our recent news from the one conference. I mean, that trend was earlier very very. I mean, I used to get many DMs, but it has got relatively low, thanks to our systems.
So Krishna, though this is a side topic, but so let's say we have these organization environments, right? And if we are creating forge assets there, they don't count on our profiles. Is that the same case with those environments which are being now provided to people who are requesting for it? Recently, there was an initiative, right?
Yeah. Okay. Junaid, there is a background sound coming at your end. I guess it's a
Uh,
motor or vehicle sound. Not sure, but it's
yeah,
very
yeah. There is
okay.
some construction work going on, so
Oh, okay, okay. Noted, noted. Yeah. Answering to your question, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you're asking if the environment that is provided by OutSystems, so will it be showing in our profile, like our personal environment shows up? The ones that we get for ODC. Is that your question?
yeah. So let's say, I mean, the Forge assets that we develop and submit to the Forge library, they don't show up as being counted on our OutSystems profile. They are rather, they are in the Forge as being submitted by that particular organization, the environment that we used. Yeah. So that's
Oh, okay,
still
okay.
different from the assets we submit for O11.
Noted, noted.
So let me try to move to
That's a detailed question. Yeah.
yeah.
All
Let me
right.
move to a different place maybe where I
Sure, 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 Jimmy. Noted. Okay, since it's almost 5 minutes since we had started the session, let's quickly jump into the introduction. Thank you, everyone, for joining the session once again on time. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I believe my screen is visible with the session's name on it, Architecting Cloud Native Applications, ODC. I believe my screen is visible, right? Awesome, thank you. Oh, I see the volunteers also. Hi, Jerome. Okay, okay, nice. All right, let's start. Welcome to the session. So this user group initiative comes under the many initiatives that OutSystems community owns. And the motive of the user group session is to communicate the knowledge that experts have in the platform to all the members in the community. Not only knowledge, at the end of this user group session there is a possibility for not this session but generally in general in user group sessions there are other giveaways as well. It could be swag kits or it could be vouchers if it's going to be a long term initiative. Okay, and goodies, so it differs. And also it provides you the opportunity to meet people or to network people, not in person but virtually. You get to know people, you will understand who knows what, and that will give you an opportunity to network. Okay, so the OutSystems community is approximately 785k plus. Now it should definitely be more than this. And in Forge we have around 2 million plus app downloads. So if you wish to attend any user group sessions, in addition to LinkedIn, you can go to usergroup.outsystems.com. That is where all the sessions that are happening in the OutSystems user groups shall be showcased. You'll get to see the details of it. If you are interested in any of them, you can very well enroll. Okay, and we have community title programs such as champions and MVP. For more details, feel free to visit these websites, or you can just Google OutSystems champions, OutSystems MVP. You'll get to know more details about them. Yeah, ODC training, please join it. You can simply Google ODC training OutSystems. You will get to see the required material and videos. OutSystems Developer School. So if you are someone who's looking for an opportunity to learn OutSystems, I mean the basics. If you are someone who is just getting started with OutSystems, then OutSystems Developer School is the ideal way for you to start your learning journey. So please enroll to OutSystems Developer School. The biggest advantage here is you will have an instructor who shall be teaching you live, okay, on the nitty-gritties of the platform. At the end, it's like end-to-end training, okay, for 40 hours. So at the end you will also be provided some assistance towards the certification exam. Most importantly, you will get a free certification voucher. So this program is only meant for those who are beginning with the OutSystems platform, and not to others, okay, who have experience or who already have an associate level certification with them. Next, OutSystems research program. So there are, like I said, there are many initiatives under OutSystems community. Like user groups, we also have OutSystems research program. And if you're someone who's really willing to explore explore the new features and provide feedback, then this is the program for you. So take your time to enroll, and yeah, and you will definitely get rewarded for the same. Yeah. So coming to the organizers, so every user group would have organizers. So for Chennai user group, it's Hati Mary and myself. So Hati Mary is an architect and she's working with Kyono Solutions. And I am also a technical architect, or I used to be a trainer. Now I kind of do some project management. So I also am having a fair share of experience with OutSystems, and I'm also an OutSystems MVP. Okay, so if you are interested or if you have any questions or any feedback around the Chennai user group, then you can very well reach out to either myself or to me. Okay, so in addition to the organizers, we have three wonderful volunteers with us. Jerome, Kirtana, and Shriyamini. So they kind of help us in putting together events when it comes to majorly the in-person events. Okay, and there are many. So coming to today's session, our speaker is Mr. Junaid. So I'm shortly going to hand over the session to Junaid. So 1 minute before that, I would like to just convey one thing. So at the end of this session, there shall be a quiz. It's relatively a smaller quiz of 5 questions. Since this is a masterclass, there won't be any winner for for today's session as such. So one when the masterclass ends, masterclass is a series of, as of now we are planning for 3 sessions in the ODC advanced masterclass. So at the end of these 3 sessions, we will be declaring say 5 winners. Okay, and these 5 winners shall be based on the participation across these 3 sessions and also their quiz performances. Okay, so that will be the activity for today, which is a quiz session at the end, okay, with 5 questions. Now, I would like to hand over the session to Junaid. Okay, thank you so much once again, Junaid, for taking the time to prepare and share your knowledge to the community members. So, yeah, I'm
Hey,
stopping to share my screen. Over to you.
thank you so much, Krishna, for giving me this opportunity, and thank you everyone for joining, especially on a weekend. So really appreciate that. So yeah, I mean, I have tried to move to a different location in my house, but I still hear some background noise. But this is the best I could do.
No problem.
Excuse
It's
me for
okay. Yeah.
that. So let's get started, and let me start sharing my screen. I can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So let me go to the presentation mode. Okay. All right. So today we are going to talk about architecting cloud native applications, which is mainly going to be in OutSystems Developer Cloud. It's going to be an interesting session. We are going to talk about a lot of things. I just want to make a note here that the abstract for this event talks about the integration patterns as well. But then when I was preparing the material for this session, I realized that that would be probably too much to cover in just one session. So I left that for now, and hopefully maybe in the next session of this master class we can pick it up. So that's one thing in terms of expectations I wanted to make it clear. Um, so all these question number is already shared. So in today's session, we are going to talk about ODC architecture, and then how to prepare the blueprints and so on. So there is a lot. I mean, I could not list everything here in the agenda. Um, so what is cloud architecture? Yeah. So I mean, we already and I was talking to when I was planning this session. I was talking to Krishna Ambal and asked her like, shall we first start with introduction of ODC? And she was like, there have been quite some sessions on introduction of ODC, so I think it's not a good idea, but we can start in a bit advanced stage. So ODC, I believe we all know it's one of the versions. Um, OutSystems, a different platform actually altogether. OutSystems is introduced for developing the OutSystems applications, and it is this is a totally different way of working in terms of designing as well as building the applications. Because even earlier, and that is the question I get very often, like uh, even earlier we were on cloud, so OutSystems environment was hosted on cloud, but even with ODC, the same is happening. So how is it different? So earlier we were, yeah, hosted on cloud, but we were not purely leveraging all the services of the cloud. So now with ODC, it's all cloud native. It's all microservices, Kubernetes, containers. So now we are, I would say, purely cloud with ODC. O11 was hosted on cloud, leveraging a lot of other features, but not the cloud native part of it. So If we look at a high level infrastructure of OutSystems Developer Cloud, on the if you can see on my screen, on the left hand side we have this ODC studio. So you might be aware that there are two ways for the developers to interact with develop or manage the portal or the applications and the libraries in OutSystems Developer Cloud. So they have these two platforms provided. One is the ODC portal, which is a web portal, and then the ODC Studio is like kind of a service studio, integrated development environment. So these are the two interfaces for us to interact as developers or designers, yeah, or somebody as administrator managing the platform. So these are the two ways we interact with ODC. So in between there is a Windows web application firewall sitting, and then it also contains different other elements like identity service. There are platform services, and then the main thing here is the stages. So if you look at the extreme right of this picture, we have the runtime for development, we have a runtime for test environment, and then we have the runtime for production. So earlier in O11 terminology, we used to call them environments, right? Like development environment, test environment, or production environment. But here we call them stages, and they are totally isolated from each other. They are totally independent of each other, and they have everything needed contained in that stage to be able to support or run those applications which are part of the stage. So this is how the ODC infrastructure looks like at a high level. Yeah. uh, Going on to what all is contained inside. So like you mentioned, it's a set of several components which are clubbed into this infrastructure to make ODC platform work properly and help us develop and deliver our applications seamlessly. So there are platform services, yeah, and then there are stages: development, test, and production. And then there is also a set of platform services which allow environment, which allow the platform to do various tasks. For instance, if I want to publish my application, then there would be a dedicated platform service to do that. If I want to if I want to store my keys somewhere, then there is a dedicated service for that. And then the relation, and now each of these runtime stages, so apart from the applications and libraries, they also contain their own databases as well, yeah. So and then there is a identity service to secure the identity of the users. So these are the different components which are part of the infrastructure at a high level. So these are the key ones, yeah. And now, if we go down a bit, so there are two parts of the infrastructure. One is the platform, and then the other one is the runtime. So platform is more of more of a
Jerome, sorry, Junaid, we can only see the first screen.
is it
Yeah, the PPT, the PowerPoint.
is it frozen for you?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Now we can see slide number 6.
Right. Let me excuse me.
Oh,
So I'll. Is it changing for you now,
yeah.
Krishna?
I can see slide number 6.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
Oh, okay. I haven't. Oh, yeah.
Anybody else, Jerome? Is it same for you? I mean, I'm changing. I'm switching between 6 and 7 now, just to check if it is changing for others.
6 still.
So you're not seeing 7 at all.
No.
Um, can you do me a favor, Krishna? Then in that case,
Hmm.
I share the presentation with you and you run it from your laptop?
Yeah, yeah, sure. You have already shared the presentation with me.
So that
So,
one is so I mean the one I have is little different. I
oh,
added this
okay, okay.
infrastructure slides as well. So let me share this.
Done, done. Sure. Extremely sorry. I was occupied with the quiz part. Now I see 1 minute.
Hey, sorry about that, guys.
It's okay. I'm sharing my screen. Oh, 1 minute, 1 minute. Give me a minute.
Mhm. So up to six, you guys were able to see the slide changing. Was that the case?
No, we were only seeing slide number 1. I mean, the Microsoft PowerPoint window was open.
Ah,
I believe my screen is
yeah.
visible to everyone, right?
Yes, Krishna, it's visible. Now we can able to see the slide changes.
Okay, please.
Krishna, is it possible for me to request control from
Mm,
you?
I don't think so. It's possible.
There is an option for that. No worries. Just checking.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, so we already looked at this one. This is the high level infrastructure of our ODC platform. On the left hand, I mean, I will just quickly repeat whatever I said about these couple of initial slides. And so this is a high level thing where Krishna, yeah, Krishna, can you go to, yeah, this one. Is it, are you settled, Krishna?
Yeah, I am. Let me know. Is it slide number 6?
Yeah, yeah,
Noted. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. Uh, so yeah, this is the high level infrastructure of our ODC thing, and like we can see here, there are different components involved. The ODC portal and ODC studios are the two ways for us to manage or manage the platform or to build the applications and do different type of activities as a developer or an administrator. Yeah, so we can see there is in the middle we have a platform which is mainly the platform services, and it's a collection of various services which enable us to do the activities at the platform level. For instance, maybe publishing our applications, releasing the libraries, versioning, and so on. Yeah, and then on the right hand side we see different run times. Yeah, so there is a runtime for development, then there is for test, and then for production. So in earlier O11 terminology, we used to call them environments. Here they are called stages. Yeah, and they are totally independent of each other, and they have their own dedicated relational databases. Yeah, can you go to the next one, please? Yeah, so this is at a high level, all those components which I just described. Um, it's the services we have on platform are all multi-tenant. There are different stages: development, test, and production. There are different ways to store the secret information, for instance, the API keys, and so on. And then there are dedicated databases available for each runtime stage. And then there is the identity service to keep the identities of the users secure. Next slide, please, Krishna. Yeah. Now, if we look at the infra in terms of so there. I mean, it could be at a high level divided into two areas. One is the platform, and then the other one could be the runtime. So platform is more of, I mean, platform is, I mean, we can relate it in a way that it's the part of the platform where we are building our applications, we are publishing the applications, we are doing merging activities, we are comparing the files. So anything which relates to development of the application, yeah, or maybe management of the application. So that is more kind of a way to describe the platform services. So this is how the platform services are distributed. So there is a set of services, and then there is a load balancer sitting in between, so which ensures that the load which is coming to these different services is properly balanced, and there is no manual intervention required to perform that load balancing. It's all managed by the platform itself. So let's say if there are multiple developers who want to use the publish service at a time, it's possible they can do it, and then the platform, the load balancer, and then the platform will take care of that part of enabling the publish service for different developers. So this is how the platform infra looks at a high level. Next slide, please, Krishna. Now, at a platform level, like we know that this platform and actually the entire infra runs on the concept of Kubernetes. Yeah. Now there are Kubernetes clusters, like we can see here, the dashed lines inside. So those are the clusters, and then they look like they are the boxes sitting on top of each other. So this is a cluster of a Kubernetes cluster, yeah, and then each service is kind of a container, so which is isolated piece, and it is not dependent on any other container. So each service is actually then put into a separate container, and it is a separate computing capacity in itself. Yeah. So all these services are hosted on a Kubernetes cluster framework, and then there is a scaler sitting, auto scaling controller sitting, which is looking at the load of request which is coming to these services, and it keeps monitoring the CPU and the RAM usage for each of these services. And then as soon as it realizes that, yeah, there is more capacity required, it adds that capacity to any of those clusters. Yeah. So that's how the auto scaling works on at the platform level. Next slide, please. Now, if we talk about the runtime, so I mean, we have already looked at the platform infrastructure. Now, this is more of a runtime infrastructure. So this looks similar to the platform infra, but if you look minutely at this runtime Kubernetes cluster, earlier it was containing the platform services. Now here it is containing the applications. Yeah, so that is the difference. So again, we have a load balancer sitting in between the end users, the request coming from the end users to the stage, any runtime stage. Our load balancer handles those requests, and then passes on the request to the appropriate the application or the cluster. Again, I mean, we are going to look at the cluster in a while. So that's how the load balancer takes care of the request coming from the different end users. And then again, we have the application data, secret management, and key management components available at every runtime stage as well. Next slide, please. So here we are talking about the auto scaling at the runtime level. So here again we have a cluster, a Kubernetes cluster, which is having applications, each contained into a separate container. But then there could be so many instances of each one of them. And here the difference is that the applications are divided into availability zones. Now that is another huge benefit of ODC platform, which actually makes it easier because availability zones. I mean, it's like maybe the regions where I want my applications to be deployed. Because the closer I am to the zone, easier it would be to serve the request coming from that zone, right? So I would prefer to have my applications deployed in a zone where more of my end users are residing, right? So that's kind of a zone concept in ODC platform. So here we have these auto scale controllers sitting in between.
Okay, lost Junaid. Is that the case with everyone? Guys, am I audible? Oh yeah, 1 minute. I'm getting a call from him. Yes, Junaid. Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Okay, so Junaid is joining in a moment, guys. Okay, maybe I would like to. Anyone off? Okay, maybe I have a question to all of you in the topic that Junaid was just covering. So he had showed us two slides. One was the platform's architecture, the other one was the runtime architecture, right? So can anybody tell me what is the difference between the platform architecture and the runtime architecture, or what do they mean? What is the difference between platform and runtime? Anyone? And if Nuno or Helena would like to convey their answers, I mean, we'll be happy to hear from them as well on this. So I am anyways enabling presenter mode for the two of them. Anyone, if you have an answer, do let me know. I'll be happy to hear from you. Oops. Hey Nuno, we can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah,
Now I hope
hi.
you can.
Yeah, yeah. So real quick until Junaid is back. So I would like to know what do we mean by the platform architecture and runtime architecture?
Well, that's a very tricky question because the reason I joined this user group was thinking this was architecture in ODC, not the architecture of ODC. So those are three completely different topics, and they may be confusing. I
Okay.
think for now we are only focusing on the application architecture. That is how we should plan our development to create applications. And here is the first time we are really focusing on the the runtime we've also looked for a while. I think the first talks from OutSystems were on the runtime, so where we could see all the services that are behind, and it's almost a
Hi, Krishna, can you
justification
hear me?
to Oh, now we have Junaid. So very fast. The runtime was the first sessions OutSystems providers, just to say how easier it is to do cloud development using tools like ODC. So we've learned all the complexity that is hidden. And right now we are looking at the rest, everything that was missing. And at least from my notifications, this is the first user group really focusing on that.
Awesome. Thank you, Nono. I know, I put you on spot all of a sudden, but thank you so much for addressing it with such clarity.
Oh, don't worry, I was just doing the laundry.
Okay. Oops.
Thank you, Nunu,
Thank you. Thank you.
for
Hey,
filling
Junaid,
in.
I just asked a small question to Nuno and he was answering until you were back. So, would you like to share your screen yourself? Would you like to try it now? And stop
Yeah,
sharing.
sure. That would be much easier. And I mean, I'm really sorry for what just happened.
It's okay.
It
It
seems
happens
like
every time.
everything is in weekend mode. It seems.
I agree.
I would maybe put the entire screen. Um, can you see my screen, Krishna?
No. I'm checking it.
Oh, I'm not just sharing. Screen.
Hey, hi, Helena. Nice to see you.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can. Slide number
Hi
11.
everyone. Sorry, I was with some issues with my baby.
No problem. No problem. Thank you for joining. Yes, Junaid. Slide number 11. We can see slide number 11.
Slide number. I'm now trying to change the slide. Let me know if it is changing for you, huh?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So I am
Yeah,
already
yeah,
at
it is.
architecture
Fundamentals.
fundamentals. Perfect,
Yeah, yeah,
perfect.
we see it. Great.
All right. So sorry about that, guys. So going back to what we were discussing, and Nuno, please feel free to pitch in whenever you think you want to add more information. Um, it would be really great help. So yeah, we were talking about auto scaling in the runtime part of the platform. So it is handled. It looks similar as we have at the platform level, but then there is a concept of availability zones as well here. Yeah. So auto scaling controller keeps looking at the requests coming in and then the capacity available, and then if it feels then there is a need to upgrade the capacity, it does that. Uh, Now coming to the architecture fundamentals, we have these three phase in process is recommended by OutSystems, and which is also a thing usually followed for designing the applications in other platforms and technologies as well. So we have disclose, organize, and assemble. Talk about each one of them in detail in upcoming slides. Now, the key focus for the design phase is to get on certain points and also to ensure that we have the necessary information available to have our design done in a proper manner. So the key questions that we need to have in our mind always, and we need answers for, are like what are the business concepts involved, which is very much needed because unless we know the business, we cannot start designing our applications or libraries. We need to understand the organizational structure, like who are the, and this is kind of related to the question as is a group of business owners, and these are the business sponsors, and how they are working together, how they are managing the portfolios, or rather the business domains they are handling. So actually, I described the fourth question as well. How are the business owners and sponsors? And then we want to make sure that our teams who are going to
Okay, I guess we lost Junaid again. Really sorry for the inconvenience, guys. 1 minute. Okay, so Junaid is joining, and in the meantime, so the steps are the same like we have in O11 when it comes to architecture designing, like disclose, organize, and assemble. But I believe the details within these steps vary a little bit. So, okay, we have Helena. Oh, hey, hi.
Right.
I was just about to ask you a question, but Junaid has joined, so maybe and then I would like to take my question with you. Yeah, hi, Junaid. Welcome back.
Hey, sorry, I'm
Please.
sorry about that again. I don't know how
It's
many
okay.
sorry I have to say today.
No problem. It's okay.
Uh, but thanks for informing me, Krishna. Can you guys see my slide?
No, not yet.
Right. Not yet. That's why, Krishna, it's better to have in-person events.
I can't agree more.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes. Slide number
Thank you.
14. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know when you lost me. I was. Can you tell me, Krishna? Or
Yeah,
maybe
you
I can.
had, yeah, on the owners and sponsors you were done.
Okay. All right. So next we have we need to understand like how these business owners and sponsors are connected to the business context in the organization, and then we want to make sure that we organize things in such a way that our teams, the delivery teams, are working independent as much as possible, and they are able to deliver their applications or libraries at the pace same as that of business. And then we also need to make sure that we are aware of the non-functional requirements of the organizations, and all the necessary external components that are required to deliver the functionalities. So some um, if we look at the discovery phase, it's more about understanding, okay, which are the different concepts. So again, I am referring to the same example that is there on OutSystems website, where the business concepts are mainly customers, claims, and codes. And there are certain external systems involved as well. So this is in a pictorial way, all those. So it's mainly about a home insurance portal where we have different components involved. So these are the different components which are part of this entire ecosystem. So we are in the discovery phase, and we are trying to understand the different business concepts. Then comes the bounded concept. So there were business concepts, but they are in one way or the other related to each other, and that's what is bounded context. So let's quickly look at what are those, and then the definition of bounded context is it comes out from the um, mm, business domain, which is they are part of, and data flow, information flow among those concepts, and then how they are dependent on each other. So that's how we identify that okay, these concepts belong to one context. So if we look at the this picture, earlier we had these business concepts all separated all over the place. But now if we try to group them based on the bounded context, then all the applications are then falling into four categories: CRM, billing, home insurance, and policy. So um, claims risk processing as well. Yeah. So this is how they are now grouped into the bounded context. Now we talk about the clear ownership, because ownership is one of the crucial aspects of uh, bringing in place a proper design. This ensures that we don't have conflicts in during our development phases. We don't have conflicts in terms of priorities, in terms of sponsoring, in terms of delivering those things. So it's very much important, and these having a clear ownership, it ensures that we have independent teams working dedicatedly on their own functionalities or the business concepts, and they are not interfering with the work of any other team or being dependent on any other their deliveries. So if we look at the different scenarios, now this is the best case scenario where we have the separate business owner and then the separate sponsor for each business concept. So for claims, we have a separate set of business owners and a sponsor, and same is the case for billing. So this is very, very clear ownership in terms of business for the business concepts. Next come the assembling part. So we try to map the business owners and the sponsors to the bounded context. It again is to ensure the independence of the teams and to have as much as low as possible dependency between the teams. So here now we are assembling the architecture. Yeah. So and then now these different concepts could be segregated into okay, what is going to be an application, what is going to be a library, and so which concept is going to serve more than one business concepts. So if we can see here, customer portal, claims, billing, and lottery anyway, and billing, yeah, these are the applications, and then the SAP connector, guide wire connector, and the lottery animations, these are the libraries. So these are libraries for obvious reasons that and they are likely to support more than one business concepts, which eventually would be our applications. Um, Now, we talked about the different phases which are involved, like discovery, organize, and assemble. Now, if we there is a tendency in among most of our systems developers that they try to look at they still try to stick to the concepts of O11 when it comes to designing or developing applications in our systems on developer cloud platform. So uh, uh, just to give a feel of okay how the two are different from each other, let's quickly look at how O11 architecture used to work. I mean, it still does work that way. So we have the primary building blocks there, which are applications and modules. Yeah. It follows the architecture canvas rule where we have three layers. One is the end user layer, the core module layer, and then the core layer, and then the foundation layer. So this is the three-layer canvas that we follow in O11 applications. And then there are certain rules that we need to follow to ensure that there is a proper relationship established between the applications and modules between different layers. Uh, So that was O11 thing. Now ODC architectures, because um, I mean, I started with the assumption that most of the people here have already have some understanding of ODC elements as well, the basic idea of how ODC, how things work in ODC. So a recap of that. So in case of ODC, we have the primary building blocks, which are applications and libraries. Yeah, libraries are more of a reusable logic. Yeah, and applications could be either the web application, mobile application, or a tablet application. Now in ODC, we don't have the architecture canvas anymore. Yeah. So with ODC, I mean, we can try to solve problems but uh, which are, I mean, of the same nature, but in a different way. So the way of solving problems in ODC is a cloud native way of doing it. And here we develop apps which are very much supporting the cloud native approach of the architecture. And these are the ones which have all their dependencies clubbed into one container, and then they are deployed as one unit to different stages of the platform. Now, ODC apps use cases. So, the apps we develop in ODC could be segregated at a high level into different use cases, and some of them are here to solve a specific business need into a single web or mobile application. It could be a microservice exposing APIs which other applications can use. It could be a standalone component as well, which is asynchronously processing or doing some task which could be processing of high volume of data. Yeah, so it could be doing this in isolation without impacting the any other elements of or the components of the ecosystem. So here we can see yeah, the different use cases we just described. ODC libraries, they are the and they mainly serve as repositories of reusable UI and logic elements. So they are the ones which are kind of more of a so if we try to relate this again to the O11 components, they are more of the foundation stuff, yeah, which is business agnostic. Yeah, I mean, like it could be doing. So it's also called stateless components. So they don't have their own entities either. When we are going to talk about that in detail later, but yeah, they are kind of things which are reusable across different applications, and that is the yeah, so they are stateless in nature, they are not storing any data. They are very much for the purpose of reusability in ODC framework. Library use cases, so they could act as a wrapper for external systems. So let's say if we are integrating with any third party component, they could just be sitting in between as a wrapper. And then they could be a repository of style guides, themes, and so on, or some reusable elements that are supposed to be used by more than one app, or maybe one app only. So here are those use cases. Now, when we build the applications, obviously there needs to be some uh, reuse of elements between them. Yeah. Now, how that reuse works in case of ODC framework, we are going to look at that. But first, we need to understand the two concepts, which are strong dependencies and the weak dependencies. So, strong dependencies are mainly in case of ODC framework, the strong dependencies can exist between two type of in between in two scenarios. So one is between a library and an application, where library is a producer and application is a consumer, and then it can exist between two libraries again. Yeah. So server actions are an example, client actions, screens. Yeah, these are the examples of these strong dependencies. whereas the references to the entities, the public entities, service sections, these are the examples of the weak dependencies. So weak dependency is like yeah, static entity. Like I said, yeah, it is also one of the examples of weak dependency. And so web applications or mobile applications can share service sections, entities, static entities, and screens. Um, so uh, web and mobile applications, I mean, service sections are loosely coupled. Yeah, entities, like I said, I mean, if there is a public entity, we are just consuming the data from the entity. It's a weak dependency, and then screens as well. So they can be reused between the applications, but not the server actions, yeah, or the client actions. So here is a list of different tables which can be. Mm, so there are elements on the left hand side, and then there are other two columns which are explaining which elements can be public in applications and which elements can be public in libraries. So we can clearly see here entities can be public in applications, whereas entities don't exist in libraries. Yeah. So that is the reason, I mean, libraries are called stateless. Local storage entities cannot be public in apps, and they don't exist in libraries. Yeah. So these are the key differences here. I mean, there's an entire list, but we don't want to go through it. And again, roles, that is another key aspect here. Roles cannot be public in apps, and they don't exist in libraries. Yeah. Service sections, again here, for instance, they cannot be public in applications, and they can be public in libraries. So I can have a server action in a library, and I can use it from an application. But I mean, I cannot. I can have a server action in an application as well, but I cannot make it public. So nobody else could be consuming it. Yeah. Service actions, they can be public in applications, and then they don't exist in libraries. Another important thing is the structures. So structures um, become public if you are using them in service section, but otherwise they are not public in applications. And same goes for the libraries. So there are again certain rules for roles and structures which we are going to look at when we try to kind of map or migrate the applications from O11 to ODC. So here is a nice pictorial presentation of what elements can exist in an application. Yeah. And then here it says what elements can stay in a library. Now, so most of the times, what we hear, at least as of today, and maybe it's going to be the case in near future as well. Organizations are trying to move from O11 to ODC, which means that there could be two situations. One is that it's a totally new customer, or an organization which has never used an OutSystems platform before. So for them, it is straightforward. They can simply move on to ODC and start developing applications fresh there. Whereas for organizations who are already having some applications on O11 platform, the major task they need to take care of is that migrate their O11 applications from O11 platform to ODC. So it's one of the major use cases these days. So I would go through what is involved and what is required to achieve that. So before yeah so first of all, we have to adopt the architecture canvas best practices. So and it is very very much important, because otherwise, if we are not following the canvas architecture canvas best practices, it really becomes difficult to make a very basic decision. For instance, like what are my foundation apps and what are my core apps, or the end user apps. Yeah. um, because I mean, like we discussed briefly, libraries can be mapped into foundation applications. That one of the use cases for libraries. But if we don't have that segregation in our O11 applications already, then we are in a mess. Yeah. So following the architecture canvas best practices is a must, a must step in the preparation of moving O11 applications to ODC framework. And then obviously adopting the domain driven architecture. This is again one of the very crucial step. And believe me, from my experience, I have seen hardly, I mean, very rare cases, I have seen organizations following the concept of domains properly. And I guess you guys are quite aware, like when we say domains, yeah, I mean, they might be having domains in their mind. They understand what domains are. They are working, they are following the domains. But in terms of architecture, the O11 applications architecture it is still not established, or somebody has not taken the pain to create domains in Discovery Probe application, right? So somebody has not taken the pain to add those domains into Discovery and then segregate the applications into those different domains. So that is very much needed, and but it's not a common thing as far as I have seen. And then obviously once we have the things following the architecture canvas and then segregated into the applications segregated into domains, we need to validate our architecture. So um, uh, here we talk about again the discovery tool. So discovery is one of the best tools where we can validate our architecture. So we need to validate it as part of the preparation. And then the next step is to map O11 domains to ODC apps and libraries. So there is again, and that's when the thing comes about, like horizontal and vertical and so on. So there are horizontal domains and then there are vertical domains. So those who know about the core concept of architecting applications in O11 framework, they know what are horizontal domains and what are vertical domains. So in short, horizontal domains are the ones which are providing services to more than one vertical domains. Yeah. And then the vertical domains are the ones which are like specific to a business domain. Yeah. So I might have a set of applications for finance, and that could be one domain. And then I might have a set of applications for my commercial team, and that could be one vertical domain. And then there could be a horizontal domain sitting at the bottom, which is serving both these vertical domains. So that's what vertical and horizontal domain implies here. Then refactor your architecture to adhere to the architecture best practices. Now there are several guidelines available already on OutSystems website um, to um, to explain the architecture best practices. Now there is a thing called like refactoring of server actions to service actions. So for this again we are going to I mean there is documentation available, but then we can also look at different training material which explains how to perform these refactorings and follow the best practices. Some of the basic concepts to make our applications compatible to ODC. There are certain key activities that need to be done. So refactoring of anonymous and registered roles, refactoring of public roles, structures, system entities, site properties, as well as extensions. Yeah. I'm not diving into all of these, keeping in mind the time. So we need to refactor so there are certain areas which would need to be refactored. So which is like SOAP and BPT is one of them. And then there is also SOAP and BPT was one of them, and then the roles, the structure, entities, so all that also has to be done. But then it has to be a very detailed activity and has to be done with great caution to ensure that we are not compromising in terms of business. while we are migrating from one framework to the other one. uh, Mapping of O11 domains to ODC apps and libraries. So again, we are talking about domains. So domains are either vertical and horizontal that we already discussed briefly. Um, so this is a vertical domain which can directly be mapped into an application into ODC framework. Yeah. And then there are foundation apps which could be mapped to the horizontal domain. Sorry, I mean the um, so migrating vertical domains with foundation apps consumed in a vertical domain from the foundation apps. So if there is a vertical domain, but then it might be using certain thing from a foundation domain, then if we do a migration, then this is how it's going to look like. So there would be an application and it would be a dependent on the library. So it's more of a foundation domain, but I mean foundation one. Um, then we come to the horizontal domains. Horizontal domains is mainly where they are serving the vertical domains through the business logic or services. So horizontal domain can again go into applications and then migrating of yeah, and then horizontal domain can also be the library here. So this all has to be done, an exercise done thoroughly to understand like how these domains are going to be mapped either in a application or a library. So it has to be thought through. Very detailed analysis is needed for that. Talking about an example like okay, how the applications, let's say in O11, look like a sample application and how this is going to be migrated into ODC framework application. So there is an end user application, order management and inventory management. There are all core modules available, and then there are the foundation theme as well as integration module. Now we try to we look at like I mean here all these are the reusable elements, and then they are all sitting in the core services module. Now if we try to break them down into finally the ODC framework, this is how they are going to look like. So order management could be one app, and then inventory management could be another app, and then the common part or the core part of it between the two applications could be the library, and the organization theme could be a library. um, and now this is mainly about roles. So refactoring of roles we discussed, like this needs to be done carefully. So I'm not going to dive into the details of it, but in short, roles cannot be shared between applications or libraries. So, sorry, in applications, they don't exist in libraries. So, there has to be separate copies created for each role into different applications, and then there are other ways to do that as well, but they cannot be shared as we used to do in O11 framework. So this is kind of explaining the same thing. So there was a common role, but to map to the ODC framework, it was then created separately into order management as well as inventory management applications. Same goes for the structures. Yep. So there was a common structure, but now it was needed in both order management and inventory management. So we created separate instances of that in each application. So finally, when we go to ODC, this is how it will look like. So I think I have covered whatever I had planned. I really had to rush through some of the slides because of the shortage of time and the time we lost in all those disconnections. So sorry about that. But if you have any questions, please go ahead, and I will request Krishnamban to take over.
Thank you so much, Junaid. So we have many questions. So around 5 questions. So maybe we can go one by one. Okay. So is there an architecture application canvas for building apps on ODC? Do we have an architecture canvas for ODC?
No, no. ODC applications don't follow architecture canvas.
Okay. And what is the right place to keep business logics and the entities associated with it? Is it application or library?
Applications.
And what?
Yeah. Applications, yeah. So libraries are mainly supposed to be reusable things. So if there is some common logic, but I mean not very much into business. Like libraries ideally should be kind of business agnostic. So preferably it should go to applications.
Noted. Okay. Okay. I guess. Yeah. So how can we maintain modularity in ODC? There is no module, only there is application. So how?
Um, yeah, it's just proper division of the logic between applications and libraries. That's how we can do it. And for that, actually, it is recommended to have proper modularization already in our O11 applications in terms of following the best practices of architecture canvas and having proper domains defined for our ecosystem so that they can be properly then modularized in terms of applications and libraries in ODC framework. So it's totally different mindset. Um, so in terms of at least modules for like modules for entities, then modules for core business logic. So all that overhead is gone in ODC framework. So all that now can be combined into a single application. But then still, it cannot be like dumping everything into a single application and say that I mean our ODC doesn't support modules, so let's just dump it into one application. It has we need to try to make it as much modularized as possible, but I mean we are limited with only two components, which are applications and libraries.
Understood. Understood. Okay. Okay, so now we have a question on zoning from Valdemiro. So, considering that the OutSystems developer cloud platform manages load balancing via auto scaling automatically, how can I mean, he's from operations, it seems. So, how can I identify the data location and manage the costs of the services used? So, is it possible to actually identify the data location in OutSystems or developer cloud?
Um, so I think I don't have the answer for that one because I did not have the chance to really play around with the at the infra level. So maybe you MVPs can better answer than me.
Right. Maybe Nuno or Helena. Do you have an answer for this question?
Oh, sorry. Uh, uh, I would say that the product from Odyssey now is a cloud infrastructure. So it's you have shared responsibility in the cloud infrastructure. So the product nowadays doesn't allow you to access to the consumes that you have, the costs that you have in the AWS. But on the roadmap, because there is an ODC migration roadmap, some clients will migrate to ODC until I think 2029. And in the roadmap, you will have the self-hosted infrastructure. So something like we have on O11 with on-prem, when you have the capacity to have some ownership of your servers or whatsoever, and to have some monetization capabilities extended. There will be some services for the cloud that can help you on this, like the observability and all the new features that have been released on the last conference. And they are also on the roadmap, I think, for then the end of this year. But on the cloud, the closed cloud infrastructure, not for now. Okay.
Noted. Thank you. Okay. So next question is, if we don't have architecture canvas, how can we validate the application's architecture? Do we have any specific process?
Um, in that case, I mean it's I mean yeah, we don't have architecture canvas as such, nothing to validate as such in ODC, but as soon as we realize that we have too many dependencies, our teams are not able to deliver independently. There are conflicts of priorities. Then we know that yeah, we have problems with our architecture. That's how I would put it. And I think we can realize much earlier in the game, but this needs to be in discussion with all the stakeholders, because most of the times what happens, people start to have design in place without I mean, it is just in consultation between the technical folks, but ideally it should be very well consulted with the business as well. And I think it's more of a dialogue and validate kind of a situation in ODC as of now, unless I don't know. I haven't heard of any plans of having any validation thing for ODC.
Noted, noted, Junaid. No, do you have anything to add?
No, I just turned the camera because on a previous question you asked my opinion, but that was regarding the costs back then. And my comment is, OutSystems is having most of the costs, so it's hiding the complexity and the costs. So unless you go way off limits, you don't need to worry on that topic.
Noted. Okay. Do we have any tools like Discovery or AI Mentor in ODC for ODC apps?
I think that no tool will replace the stakeholders' voice, because this is a different mindset. You are talking about almost as a microservice architecture. You have to isolate what is business. The minimum for you to have an application will have a high business concept on this, either with stakeholders, either with sponsors. So you can start with what you had in O11, and you have the meaning concept that can comply for a minimal unit of deploy, because we don't have modules now, we have applications. So I think that the work will have always the business concept on this. Okay, so no tools. I would say that as in microservice. Okay.
Well, my answer is completely different. So, from my view, we don't need discovery anymore because, like Elena said, we don't have to control the models. We have independent applications. There are no dependencies here, only some weak dependencies. And the second part of the question, AI Mentor. Well, OutSystems Mentor is an evolution of AI Mentor because there is a better integration between the advices we got in Service Studio and what we got in AI Mentor. The future ODC Studio with Mentor will be a mix of both.
The AI mentor. Because I was, but that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I would agree with the answers provided by the two of you. Yes, it was wholesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much for the answers, experts Junaid, Nuno, and Helena. I believe so. The participants would have had greater insights on their questions. Okay, maybe we can take two more questions. We have 10 minutes time. I just need 5 minutes for the quiz. So the question that we've got is, how can we create multi-tenancy in ODC?
Oh, yeah, haven't tried that. Uh, any idea, or
Well,
Helen?
You
uh,
will have to use a external tool and to extend your users. Okay.
yeah,
But
so
you
I
don't have a
did
user
this.
API. But
Yeah.
you will need to work on this.
I did this for Elena's company last year. So they decided to go with ODC on a Friday, and on Monday, someone remembered they would need 3 tenants on the same application. So what we need to do, what multi-tenant in ODC does, you need to create an extra attribute on each entity and control them somehow to have some shared entities, some private entities, and this is a lot of work, but it can be done.
Noted. Oops. That's not an ideal question. Although, yeah, that I believe that will be an insight for the participants. Okay, fine then. So I guess we can move on to the next part. Once again, thank you to the three of you for all the insights to the questions. So we'll quickly now move on to the last segment of today's session, which is the quiz. So, like I said, there won't be any giveaways for the winner of this quiz as we are conducting a masterclass. So, only those who consistently attend all three sessions and kind of have a better hold on the quiz shall be winning the swag kits. Okay, so let me share my screen. 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. Sorry. Okay, I believe my screen is visible to all of you. Yep. So requesting all of you to please go to kahoot.it and enter this game pin. We'll wait for 2 more minutes, okay, for all of you to join the quiz. Quick tip would be to have the questions display in your laptop, so and provide your answer from your mobile phone. So join from your mobile phone, okay? That way you'll be able to answer faster. And request you to please join with your full name so that we can recognize you and we can verify your details with the name in which you have joined the session. One more minute. I see someone has joined as Ma. Please rejoin with your actual name. Awesome. So let's start. Right answer is Service Studio. Awesome. Best wishes, Aditya, Nono, Shashi. Okay, I see Jerome also. right answer is stage. Okay. Shashi, Nuno, Jerome, Bharatwaj, Aditya. I would not be considering Nuno or Jerome, okay, as the actual participants. Anyways, best wishes, Shashi, Bharatwaj, and Aditya. Okay. Awesome. Well done. Right answer is creating weak dependencies between apps. Okay. Well done. The last question. The right answer is both A and B, both roles and structures to be copied and created. So let's see the winners. Well done, Shashi. Well done. And well done, Bharat. Yeah, Bharat and one more. I'm sorry, I missed the other name. And yeah, thank you, Nuna and Jerome, for the active participation. Although I need some time to understand if I would have to, we would have to consider you guys for the challenge. Although yeah, I'll take a note of it. So once again, I'll just look at the podium to find out who has won the 5th position. Jerome, Mono, Vinod. Okay, Bharat and Vinod. Awesome. Noted. All right, so this is it then. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. So the winners, there isn't any giveaway as such for this session, particularly as a masterclass. So requesting all of you to please attend the next 2 sessions that would come as part of this masterclass. On the 3rd session, we shall be announcing the winners. Okay, so based on your participation and also on the quiz. Okay, so looking forward to meeting you all in our next session. So you can expect the next session to happen maybe in the next weeks or so. So you can get an update from LinkedIn as well as from the user groups website. And yeah, thank you once again. Thank you everyone for joining the session. Happy weekend. Okay.